Nightly greetings, one and all. Monique Tu's on here, homegrown and happy to bring you the latest major events unfolding here at home and abroad in the last 24-hour news cycle. And we lead off with the Palestinian Muslims in Gaza may have had tough luck after half a year of running, hiding, and seeking shelter from IDF bombing and ground attacks and surviving a deliberately forced starvation by the merciless Netanyahu government. But their luck is far better to the lot of the Rohingya Muslims scattered in Myanmar, Bangladesh, and the few hundreds or thousands who've managed to flee to Malaysia and Indonesia these past few months. First of all, the Rohingya Muslims have no residential status or citizenship, having been stateless over the last few decades in Myanmar. Little wonder the United Nations called the Rohingyas the most persecuted ethnicity on the planet. But the living conditions in Bangladesh's refugee camps, especially in the Cox's Bazar region, which the UN calls the largest refugee settlement on the planet, are nearly subhuman, forcing hundreds of fed-up Rohingyas to throw caution to the wind and sail away to either Malaysia or Indonesia. And yet they've had even worse fortune surviving at sea, where dozens have died thus far and whose boats or makeshift flotation pieces sank from overloading or bad weather. Still, those who made it to Indonesia celebrated the end of Ramadan with heavy hearts and sadness, having lost loved ones at sea or left others back in Bangladesh or Myanmar. The joint military drills between the country's armed forces and the U.S. military have finally taken to axe to the skies. This in culmination of today's basic fighter maneuvers over Basa Air Base in Pampanga, where the Philippine Air Force FA-50 and the US F-16 fighter jets flew alongside and away from each other to perform basic fighter maneuvers, air combat moves, tactical intercepts to sharpen pilot skills, and prep themselves for the desired combat readiness. This joint jet fighter exercise, aptly called Cope Thunder Philippines 24-1, will last a fortnight up to April 18 and includes logistics and mission support, planning, and execution. In addition, CTPH 24-1 preps the Philippine Air Force for its participation in the Pitch Black Exercise 2024 in Australia in July. China's MO in the seas and oceans of the planet is clear. Fish the place dry and then leave for another rich fishing ground to exploit and exhaust. The Chinese militia vessels patrolling the WPS and South China Sea have been doing it in the country's exclusive economic zone, leaving reefs with bleached and dying corals. And a fish and marine life population that significantly shrunk. VOA's Jao Santos and Barbara Santos report.
José Catessa and Pachi Sabino are fish traders at Tombas Beach, near the city of Benguela. They say they are not catching as much fish as they once did. They blame foreign trawlers for this scarcity, especially Chinese fishing vessels.
It is the Chinese trawlers that are causing fish to abandon our fishing zone to go far away, so it's more difficult for us.
The scarcity of fish coming to the local markets is reflected in the price, according to Sabino. 3 fish used to cost 2,500 kwanzas, he says, but now costs twice as much, 5,000 kwanzas. That's just over $6.
People complain about the price. It's very difficult. All kinds of fish, cachucho, Caribbean red snapper, sardines, and mackerel are even more expensive.
Angolan law prohibits larger vessels, such as trawler boats, from entering protected areas reserved for artisanal fishing. And only Angolan citizens can qualify to obtain an artisanal fishing license. Tito Catumbela owns artisanal boats and is a member of the artisanal fishing cooperative Onjali, which has 20 members. For him, the sustainability of his profession is under threat from the alleged unregulated fishing in supposedly prohibited areas.
When they notice that the fish are circulating more in the low waters, they move into this part, ruining all the investments we made in the barges. When they find the mesh, they drag everything away. It's too expensive for us. We want to be heard by the inspectorate because the Chinese ignore us when we try to talk to them.
VOA contacted the Chinese embassy in Angola via email to respond to allegations of illegal fishing in the region, but did not receive a reply. The Environmental Justice Foundation, a non-governmental organization that produced a report on the global impact of China's distant water fleet, says unregulated fishing activities often take place in areas where the fishing vessels do not have authorization to fish and target endangered and vulnerable marine life.
We're seeing the Chinese distant water fleet scooping out vast amounts of fish, very rarely for local consumption, much more often for international sale, which leaves local communities, coastal communities in multiple countries across sub-Saharan Africa literally going hungry.
The head of EJF, Steve Trent, says the environmental impact of the unregulated large-scale industrial fishing, if it's not properly managed, includes the near-term decline and collapse of local fisheries. The fishermen are already seeing the signs. Victor João, also a fishing boat owner, says he has to travel more than 100 kilometers south to the province of Namibe to find fish.
Those of us who used to fish here in the bays are crossing between large towns. We leave Benguela to fish in Namibia, so maybe in the next few years we will travel farther.
VOA reached out to the office of the Angolan Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Carmen dos Santos, for comment, but she has not responded to interview requests. In previous public statements, Santos alleged that Chinese trawlers are buying artisanal licenses from Angolan fishermen, something the fishermen deny. For João Marcos in Benguela, Angola, Bárbara Santos, VOA News.
And at this moment, our colleague in PTV's Pine City studios is all set for the latest developments in the Cordilleras. Eddie?
Pilipinas, nasurog katalupul ang Manalon tinapektaran kaditi insidente ti forest fire ijay Sagada Mountain Province. San aneleksid dagiti kamambantayan ti Sagada Mountain Province iti insidente ti forest fires. Iti Pebrero ken Marso, agro pa 60 million pesos tinalista a danyos kaditi napasamak nga uram. Adamatan ti Sagabasit anay ted at tulong kaditi masekta na Manalon. Pakiramanan ti 5,000 pesos ang nagtaod iti Department of Social Welfare and Development. Makikaroon din pa iti lokal na gobyerno iti nagduduma ngayon siya kas iti Department of Labor and Employment kan Department of Agriculture tapno matulungan dagiti man Manalon ang apektaran kaditi napasamak of forest fires sa Jai.
Mostly dagiti mountains tayo. Dagiti dagiti farmers, dagiti coffee plantation na. Dagiti dapat dagiti tartarakan dagiti rabbit iti farm piman naala na. Dagiti shanties iti farm kat napuran da piman.
Iti sa bala damag na pintas at damag dua a kakailian a Cordilleran ti nakastruck na awardees iti PNPA Layag Diwa Class of 2024. Rank 8 ni Police Cadet Bernard Carlos Dawayan manipod sa Bangan Mountain Province. Mawatmat ni Police Cadet Tricia May Guzman manipod Latinad Benguet ti Servant Leadership Award. Maangay ti 45th Philippine National Police Academy Commencement Exercise inton April 19, 2024 ijay silang Cavite. Congratulations ken may panpanakil kayo kakailyan na Cordilleran. Bueno, dagiti damdamag manipod ito'y PTV Cordillera siya ni Eddie Carta na imbag Arabi.
And that's all she wrote for tonight. Join us anew tomorrow for the latest breakers here and elsewhere on the planet. Same time, same location on your remote and or browser. And keep in mind to always work hard, aim high, give thanks, and stay invested while you catch the news right here. Monique Tuzon here wishing you all a restful night ahead.